Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This has been a tough week so far. A sky point to one of the greatest entertainers of anybody's lifetime. Dolly Parton, it was announced about an hour or so ago that the legendary entertainer had passed away at the age of 80. And much like yesterday obviously was much more of a personal situation. Somebody I saw every day. Somebody I hung around with here. Somebody I'd known for 16 years on a personal level and had known what he had gone through over the years. And just simply put, enjoyed his company and never will forget his presence. That's Matt Baer. And obviously, that was a profound personal level for me and really a lot of us, if not all of us in this building. And then today, when I get here and I learn that Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80, that's a lifetime of music and entertainment, and certainly not on a personal level. But I will tell you this. I don't know if we've ever been around an entertainer that it felt like you could just, and she would just sit down and hang out and talk to you. No matter who you were, no matter where you were. Just beyond the talent level, beyond the entertainment, the enjoyment, the laughter, through music, through movies, through just being Dolly Parton. There is going to be something that will be profoundly missed from here on out without that. It really doesn't matter what generation you're a part of. And you can tell just how elite personality-wise somebody is when you have multi-generational impact. And Dolly Parton did. Sky Point, R.I.P. to Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton passed away at the age of 80 today. I know it's a day-to-day, and life is, I don't want to wax poetic here whatsoever, but these past 2 days, both, personally and at a completely different level, have really sucked. And I flaunt that around all the time. This sucks and that sucks. And, sometimes it's just kind of the joke or it's just kind of the descriptive term of the moment. But these past 48 hours have, as I like to use now, profoundly sucked. Seriously, these past 48 hours can piss off. Now, I will tell you this. We're fortunate to have memories. We're fortunate to create those memories and fortunate to have those, whether you're talking about this on a personal level or somebody that is of celebrity. But, man, that stinks. Dolly Parton was 80. We will, on reentries, well, it's a sports show. Well, it's a show. It is really, it's cobbled together however I want to. That's what it is. So we're going to mix in a little bit of everything because we're also about life and existence. And both yesterday and today on different levels, being without people, sharing the memories, but also being certainly sad and dejected in the moment. It's part of it. They process all the time, don't they? The process that we're going through, the process in terms of sports, is one of the most overused sports terms ever. Day to day. No doubt. RIP and a sky point to Dolly Parton, and then yesterday as well. I wanted to thank Jason Hammer for coming in yesterday. And they still, on 93 WIBC, are putting together just incredible material on the life and, speaking of impact, the impact of Matt Baer, who passed away yesterday at the age of 48. It has been a tough couple of days, certainly, for a lot of people. All right, sports-wise, we shall start right here. We'll start with the Colts. Obviously, Shane Steichen met with the media a little bit earlier today. You got the final preseason game that is coming up on Saturday, preseason game number 3, where Shane Steichen says that starters will play roughly 8 to 12 snaps. You're not going to see Daniel Jones. You're not going to see Jonathan Taylor. But you're going to see Anthony Richardson as the starter, and the starter is about 8 to 12 snaps during that final preseason game. Riley Leonard is going to get some second quarter action, and then Easton Stick, who has a pretty awesome name. Easton Stick needs to be playing golf or something. That would be a better golf name. We'll have the second half of duty, and then by that time, you guys will probably all decide to go home or something. But seriously, that is the way that it looks coming up on Saturday. They're going to get their proverbial feet wet, and then we'll see what happens with this group as they start the season. We are not too far away from it, no doubt about that. Charvarius Ward back at practice today. A.J. Halsey didn't practice. I think undisclosed was the reason today, correct? Alec Pierce, here's a bit of good Colts news. We kind of wondered, and believe me, you're at a point in your existence as a Colts fan where you don't buy that anything is going to work out. You don't believe that anything is going to be successful, or you don't work under the assumption that, hey, we're going to have some good fortune, because normally you don't. But Alec Pierce expected to practice later on this week. That is a have to. It's not going to be too far down the road either to where, regarding Alec Pierce, it's going to be, hey, great, he's back. And then, all right, so what are you going to be doing? What will you provide? What is your productivity in terms of the raise that you got in the offseason? Because you guys better be ready for that discussion. It's going to be more than just how we all played backyard football, right? Remember? Set, hut, and then you go all the way down the field and hang a right. Or if you're on the right side, all the way down the field and hang a left, and somebody would throw the football, hang that thing up in the air, and you can go get it. It's been Alec Pierce so far. Alec Pierce is going to be much, much more than that. Defense, it has to be able to, all right, we're going to go in all week long and defensively work on what we have to do with him, how we have to perform against him. That has to take up a lot of their time. The threat of him doing more than he has done. I'm not suggesting what he has done so far has been subpar. But what I am telling you is when you get to that level of payment, when you get that type of raise, and then you're back and everybody has the nice and fuzzy good feelings of you being back, now it's time to produce. That's for everybody. Because the one thing I believe we have learned, you guys follow me on this? So far in this camp, the one thing we have learned is the guys that you count on to be there and do it, better be there and better do it. Because I don't know what you're going to be talking about regarding those that would come in to back them up or come in their stead. That is going to be a tough question. And one that I hope they don't have to answer. Now, obviously, we've been down this path enough before to know at some point we will. But that is where we are. With Alec Pierce, the expectations, simply put, are going to go through the roof. And then if you don't live up to expectations, if they don't have the type of season that obviously they need to maintain those in and around this operation right now, then this is going to be on somebody else's shoulders to find out what needs to be done. Weird set of circumstances. It is. It is not a total lame duck feel, but it's lame duckish. I don't think it's a total lame duck feel because really with this whole thing, you don't know what the high water mark might be or what might be enough evidence to go ahead and believe in bringing it back, especially since you have no idea in this case what they're going to be able to do beyond this until the year after next. And what I mean about that is I think, will consider a game in the postseason as a must to maintain really anybody around, as I mentioned, this operation. But is that going to be the case? You have to get into the postseason? Do you have to win a postseason game? Do you have to shake it up a little bit in the postseason? What do you have to do? What do you have to do if, again, this organization maintains this group? And I know what it has to do. It's going to have to go deep and do a lot of things to change all the minds of Colts fans out there. Because you guys are with me. I don't know if all of you have been with me the entire time, but you're certainly with me now. But what do you have to do? And part of getting that done and proving to everybody out there that this is different is a guy like Alec Pierce. All right, you're back now, and you got that raise. That is great. All right, be more than go long and turn left guy. Got to be more active than that, more efficient, more of a threat than that. All the sense in the world. That is the latest from the Colts regarding preseason game number 3 on Saturday. That is a 1 o'clock start again. Caleb Wright as well, so that means 10 a.m. for the Colts pregame huddle. We'll be in touchdown town once again, ready to go for you. Final preseason game, and then we'll lead it right in to Labor Day weekend, the weekend after that, and then the start of the NFL season. I got up this morning. It felt a little bit like fall out there this morning in general. I know Caleb was out there biking or running or something like. Were you running this morning?
Yeah, I'm training for the Colts 5K coming up.
Running's a punishment. Have you not learned that from this show yet? Running's not an enjoyable activity. It's punishment. It's what you do when you do something wrong. Punished. Got to run.
When you're done, though, that feeling when you're done with your run, John, it's a pretty special thing. I'm just saying.
That sounds like a load of bullcrap to me. Who has sold you on accomplishment after this? What are you
Feel
accomplishing?
good about yourself. You exercise. You move your body.
Well, I do that. I'm going to do that later on tonight.
Great.
I'm moving my
You
body.
and I can run and
The
feel
hell do
the
I want to
same
run on
way.
the pavement out there?
I'm gonna do
You
both.
and the pavement. You and the pavement. You and the clock. What are you working against? Who's your competition? Where's the competition? Who's your
Myself.
competitor? Yourself?
Myself. Yeah.
You know how easy it would be for me to kick my own ass? Like, really easy. What the hell kind of competition am I to myself?
We can get into the nuances of this if we want, but something tells me you're not going to get it.
No, I think, here's what happens. I say this all the time, and I understand why people want to run the mini marathon, or they have goals, right? To get back in shape, to get back in health. Maybe it's for, a lost significant other in their circle, a personal situation. I understand that all. But for me, it's always been a big-time punishment. And really, not this time of year, but as we get closer, that second, third week of October is when smoke-ups would go out back in the day, and those were the warnings after the first 9 weeks that your son is about ready to jack this thing up, and he's in trouble grade-wise, and I'd always be grounded. Thus, I'd always be running, and we'd always be working out. Those basketball workouts were never with a ball. We were always running on the track or on the cross-country course. It was always a punt. There's no fun in that. Give me a ball. All right? I got to go run balcony laps. No, I'm sorry. Give me a ball. Anytime I did anything wrong, bad grades, late to school, late back at home, missed curfew, out partying.
Yeah,
It was always about having to run.
I understand.
So that's why.
Yeah, and if you know what, if that's your relationship with it, I certainly understand it, John. But
I do admire you because you're like younger already in shape, so you're running around, coming in here, eating fruit. That's great. Good for you.
It's been watermelon.
I'm a
every
fruit.
day for
I'm
the
a
last
I'm a
3 weeks.
cantaloupe guy right here. I probably should go to watermelon because there's much more of a hydration quality within
Yes.
watermelon, obviously.
Come on now.
Than there is cantaloupe, but I have a cantaloupe fetish.
It's great.
I love cantaloupe, and I never did. It was always kind of slimy and weird, and sometimes it'd be a little too hard. Sometimes it'd be way too soft. Rarely do you ever find cantaloupe just right, but I've fallen in love with the lope. This is a true story.
It's a good fruit, man.
Fallen in love. The lope is number one on the list. Like it used to be the pear. The pear was number one. I was digging on the pears. I was always a big apple fan. I would rock the bananas, but now cantaloupe is by far cantaloupe, pineapple, watermelon, top three.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
I dig on the pineapple too.
How do you feel about grapes?
I'm all right with grapes, but yeah,
They can be hit or miss.
yeah, it's the hand fruit is kind of like fruit peanuts or something like that. It's like a hand fruit, right? Finger fruit in this case. And the Big Ten passes a rule in which any player who has declared for the NFL draft and did not withdraw, appeared on an NFL roster, or signed a contract with a pro league cannot be on a Big Ten roster. So I'm assuming, is that going to set the stage for everybody else to follow suit? Big Ten having a little balls right there, I guess, or at least trying to in this case.
I think other conferences want to follow suit, John, but I did read something. I think this was on 3, and Pete, our guy Pete Nakos was talking about it. LSU is pushing the SEC to welcome back some of these pretty much, you can call them former NFL players because they were in camp or on a roster. So LSU is trying to say, hey, no, we want this. And some of the other schools are against it. So
where would we be in the world? Like, for example, where are we going to be in the world of Nick Saban being pissy about stuff? If the SEC does not by design catalog some rule where anybody can come back after being on an NFL roster or didn't make it but wanted to come back, is Nick Saban going to go to Congress,
right,
and start complaining about this? Because he's been the ultimate pisser, and his ultimate pissing has been regarding IU. That's what it's been about. And we've seen this, the Blue Bloods, and especially the Southern Blue Bloods, the Southern legacies in football have all been butthurt, have all been chafed about what IU has done. Well, look at that. They've never been anything before until the transfer portal, until NIL, and they're spending all this money. And Nick Saban, you're talking about a guy that was on his staff once upon a time. By the way, I would love to really, truly know. Is there one thing in sports that you would really, truly love to know? What's on top of that list that you would really love to know?
I think there's
one thing.
Some conspiracy theories out there.
Right now, I would love to know this. Does anything stand out? Because I'll start right here. I want to know exactly how Cignetti and Saban feel about one another.
Yeah.
I want to know the truth. And I can handle the truth. I want to know it. I want to know everything. I want to know why older guy that has been there and elite level coached seems to be pissy. And the guy that used to be on his staff that was always overlooked and always working but always winning, and then finally hit the peak of the mountain, why he did not get the accolades from his former mentor that normally you would. Because you remember back in the days of Knight and Krzyzewski, there was a defining moment right there to where, hey, before the 86 Final Four in Dallas at Reunion Arena, Bob Knight's going to give Duke in a national semifinal a pregame talk, a pregame speech. Let's fast forward to 1992, and the screw job, courtesy of Ted Valentine, it was over. Like, relationship done. That's a little bit more defined. I want to know exactly what the dynamic is here working. So I would start right there. That's what I want to know. I don't think we're ever going to know, but I think we should.
I think a lot about when it comes to that relationship, John. I think it was before Indiana's playoff game against Notre Dame a few years ago, and Cignetti went on the College Game Day set before the game and was kind of talking his junk. And I remember Nick Saban saying something along the lines of, like, I don't think I taught you how to teach, or I taught you how to say this much junk. So because he was trash talking a lot.
Does Saban not like him because of his personality?
I think that could be.
Because of his success, or because of the way he's had the success that he obviously, going to Washington, D.C., truly objects?
Yeah, and also taking some of the power away from the SEC in a way. Like, Saban's an SEC guy.
I love that, too. That's beautiful.
Same. I think that all that stuff, I don't think it's just one thing, though. I mean, I think if there's friction there, I think it's a lot of things. These Southern
legacies have jacked around with the rules forever. Mm-hmm. All right, forever.
They're still trying to do it. LSU's still trying to do it.
Hey, listen, this is an awful film, but it does have, I think, the first of Uma Thurman, and she's smoking ass hot, by the way. Johnny B. Good. It's Anthony Michael Hall as a quarterback. That's basically how the SEC worked back then. Exactly with that film. It's awful, but yeah, watch it sometime. That's the SEC.
It's on the list.
I love it. I love the fact. Love it. That they're all incredibly butthurt. And what's funny about it is a team like IU, they're just working with the rules. Then you got everybody, well, you got to schedule better, and you got to do, they don't have to do a damn thing. They're the defending national champions. Have you guys checked that? They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything that you ask. They just have to go out there and win. It's going to be so odd if they lose a game, whatever, they lose a game this season, whoever that might be. And the reaction you're going to get nationally. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think IU is among the most disliked football programs out there. And I know in large part that's what happens when you have the highest level of success. But I think we all understand that it's more than that right now. I love it. Everybody being butthurt is a beautiful thing. Beautiful. All right. Rakestraw is going to join us on the other side. We had a fantastic week, number one, high school football. We'll get into that. Greg and Rick did a fantastic job, by the way. Preseason game number 2. Was that on CBS 4? Hell, I never know where these things are.
I think it was.
Hey, shout out, too, for DeJuan, what's his name? What's his nuts over there at Wish, Circle City Broadcasting, what I don't have on DirecTV or TV6 anymore. I don't really care. You can keep – I'll tell you what you can do. Take RTV6 and shove it up your – I don't care. Seriously, right up the rear. I do not care. There's nothing on there I give 2 craps about. Sorry. Long since of the days lost of Ed Sorensen and Greg Todd and Howard Caldwell. All the great days of Bob Gregory. Long since of those days. I'm not going to miss you guys 1 ounce. See ya. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you, RTV6. I don't care. And see, I love my girl Gina, too. Gina's at Wish TV Channel 8, probably just hoping that the toilet's flush when she goes to the bathroom over there. It's just so stupid. You know how we watch, how we get TV is so stupid. You know what? That is the travesty. The hoops we have to jump through to pay for something, it is incredible. You know how you're lucky? Let me tell folks out there how they're lucky. This is absolutely free. This entertainment value you're getting right now, what you get in listening to your favorite teams here, whether it's the Fever right now, the Colts coming up on Saturday, Pacers coming up. You know, you get that absolutely free right here. You know, everybody else makes you pay for it absolutely every step of the way through the nose. DirecTV. Yeah, I looked at other RTV. I don't even know I went by there. They don't have any programming I want to watch. The only reason I watch Wish is because Gina, friend of the show, Gina Galeros. I love Gina Galeros. Yeah, the rest of it can stick it. Who cares? Yeah, I'll just go in the other room and watch it. But yeah, Direct. Oh, yeah, such a big deal. No more RTV6. Who cares? Bye. See you later. Now, how much of that is me going with DirecTV, which clearly by now is incredibly archaic? How much of that is on me? Seriously, I made a bold statement right there, but how much is that on me?
But, hey, it feels like every year there's always some TV dispute right around the start of football season, does it not?
Well, I think in this case it won't come back because if it's more than a dime, they're not going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So I guarantee you that. So it is going to be off of DirecTV. It's not coming back. It won't come back. And in fact, listen, I'm not defending DirecTV because that sucks just like everything else does. But truly somebody out there, I will give you some of my money and certainly all of my attention. If there is somebody out there that can provide to us hassle-free entertainment at the touch of a button, kind of like what we do right here. Anybody out there, visually speaking, if you can provide that, I'm on board with you. You're my new programmer. You're my new programmer if you can come up with that. Tell me I know. You guys give me all these rules in which I can cheat and I can plug a stick in here. I want to be able to do, it's one-stop shopping. I want to hit one button, boom, and be there. Just like this. Hey, this club is all-inclusive. We let everybody in. Everybody gets in. There's no rope. Everybody gets in. There's no velvet rope. You don't have to get around it. Everybody gets in. I think visually speaking, it certainly needs to be more that way because what you're going to do, you're going to lose a great deal of your audience. And believe me, what I do right here, what we do right here in radio, radio's kicked itself in the nuts a number of times and still does. And doesn't learn from its nut-kicking mistakes. But it is still free programming, whereas every place else you're going to have to end up paying. It's a true story. Rakestraw the other side. What time's Rittenberg on here?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Rittenberg. We're going to talk Big Ten, a little football, that new rule, stuff like that. Hey, don't go anywhere. Hey, we're on the live stream as well. I'm waving at you right here. It has been an awful couple of days, but we remember those that certainly we have lost in the last 2 days, both locally and now the elite level of entertainers in Dolly Parton. We remember those great times, the great times they provide. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, I'm going to tell you about this. Love Heating and Air Ohio dealer Johnny Chris Love at your service. 317-353-2141. Hey, get the system checked up right now because we're cooler. It's not as hot and humid. And if you need a repair, like somebody like Ron, the technician, will come in and make sure you're good. And if you need a repair, mention my name, $144 off the service fee with Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141. Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer online, love-hvac.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Why not, Mr. Venkman? Because you did not use the magic word.
What is the magic word, Mr. Venkman?
Please.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
R.I.P. to the great Dolly Parton, who passed away earlier today at the age of 80. Very few have put together an entertaining career to the level of that. And then, at the same time, remain true to their roots. And was viewed as an every person. Would talk to anybody, would visit with anybody. You tell me how many of those celebrity entertainers, how many of those entertainers, those people that we revere, how many of those people exist that you feel on every level would be cool? Not 1 ounce of fake or fraud or BS or crap or stupidity. So few. Dolly Parton was legend. I say there weren't very few like her. I don't know if there would be anybody like her. If you look at it from that angle, I don't know if there's anybody. Yeah, by the way, yeah, RTV. Why am I even worried about RTV6? I can't remember the last time I watched anything on RTV6. I'm sure Dave First was a part of it. Hell, Jake Query may have worked there when I watched it last. Jeez. I didn't think he's not coming back, though. What am I missing? What are we going to end up missing without RTV6 on DirecTV? Because there's no way that dude's going to pay a dime to maintain anything.
Your guess is as good as mine, John. I don't know.
Just programming? Anything? What's on it right now? All they do is end up like shuffling in like Wish TV people, don't they?
You're asking a 25-year-old that's not from around here.
I should have gone off on how they handled everybody up the street in the first place, but I didn't. But, maybe do the right thing right here. And if you're going to make that huge of an upheaval or what you feel is an upgrade to the market television-wise, maybe give people around here the total opportunity to view it. I don't know. The mess you made. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is my good friend, Greg Rakestraw, who evidently had one hell of a weekend. I was trying to think. You had LM Brownsburg on a Friday night. You had the Colts with Rick Venturi and Edgerrin James. Preseason game number 2. I think you had the Indy 11 as well. Was there anything you did not accomplish this weekend?
No, pretty much covers it. I did the Indianapolis Indians game Thursday night. Then I had basketball at the Indiana State Fair on the outdoor court. So some hoopage for you on Sunday afternoon, little college soccer yesterday, and finally an evening off tonight.
Finally. It's been a while, though. Good for you, man. Hey, how was that LN Brownsburg game? Because I saw, and I don't think we got the big plays from the source of which we thought we would get the big plays, but that game had a lot of those on Friday night.
It did, 48-25, 49-25. I forgot how many extra points were made at this point. 28 consecutive points for Brownsburg in the third quarter. Only points for LN in the second half was a 97-yard kickoff return by Zay Moore. Monson Sales plays both ways. Maybe more of an impact player right now for Lawrence North. It's kind of how their offense is structured with what he does defensively, more so than offensively. They've got a returning starting quarterback in Darian Prather, but getting the ball from Prather to Sales on a regular basis seemed to be a bit of a problem in the game on Friday night. And the other thing that I would, add to that as well, Brandon Sharp, who is also headed to play at IU from Brownsburg, he had 4 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty impressive. But it was Brady Lewis and the offensive line that was the star for Brownsburg because I had him for 34 carries, 220 yards. And, John, he didn't touch the ball in the fourth quarter. He could have easily given him 40, 45 touches if they had wanted to in that football game on Friday. So the winner, probably not a surprise. The margin, probably a little bit of a surprise on Friday.
Hey, it's Greg Rakestraw, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. How about Warren in week 1 on the road at CG? Was that a surprise to you?
Slight surprise. Now, again, I had the regional game last year where Warren went to Center Grove and won, and Warren brings back nearly everybody on offense and most but Jeremy Finch Jr. on defense. And so the fact that that game was close is not exactly a surprise. But you always kind of give the nod to the home team. And the fact that CG led that game 14-7 and Warren found a way to win it. So, again, slight surprise. But frankly, Brownsburg and LN are two of the top 6 teams in my estimation in the state. Warren and Center Grove are 2 of the top 6 teams in the state. And the other team that I think, a couple other teams that get your attention in 6A based on what happened on Friday night. Ben Davis was very competitive in their scrimmage against Westfield the week before. I think most thought BD, first under Brett Cooper, was going to be down a little bit. And then they beat Cathedral, beat them 33-27, had a 3-score lead at one point in time in that game. So that certainly got your attention as well. The other game in 6A that raised some eyebrows was the fact that Carroll out of Fort Wayne had a 40-0 lead at one point in time against HSC. I probably would have put HSC maybe like a fringe top 10 team in 6A, good, not great. But the fact that the best team in the Fort Wayne area put it on them in the first game certainly very much catches your attention. So as is usually the case, John, we learned a few things after week number 1 of the high school football season.
That is Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Carmel Fishers, 47-0. It was Carmel with the win. Was that more about how they played or more about on the other end what Fishers look like?
Good question. We produced the game on ISC. Rob Brown and Jan Bozier had the call. I haven't had a chance to go back and consume it yet. I'll have Carmel next week. I think it tells us more about Carmel because Carmel, I think they won 49-24 last year against Fishers in week number 1. The only question mark about Carmel, you knew they were going to be good, but of all those other great teams I talked about in terms of the top end of 6A, they were the one that didn't return their quarterback. Anthony Kellner graduated, Division I level recruit. The Treadway kid had a great game. We knew there were other pieces around. I think the question was going to be quarterback play. But then again, and I've said this on numerous shows, it's Carmel and it's Kevin Wright. They're going to be good. You just got to know that's going to be the case. And we'll learn a lot more when Carmel goes to Westfield coming up this Friday evening.
Zionsville got off to a strong start, 24-6 over Pike, Greg, on Friday night.
Correct, they did. And Zionsville is a team that got roughed up by Carmel in the scrimmage. Zionsville is a team. And honestly, I kind of think after you get past Brownsburg and Westfield, the HCC is pretty wide open, and any of those 6 teams on a given night could beat one or the other. But knowing how Zionsville got roughed up in the scrimmage, good to see them bounce back against Pike on Friday night.
Hey, where do we go in the South if you're going to go like where we know the South to be? What class do you have to go to see the teams really start to become a little more dominant than certainly they are, for example, in 6A, because oftentimes they're not existent?
Well, in 6A, you've got 2 teams south of Johnson County. So you've got Columbus North and you've got Jeffersonville. Floyd Central is a pretty good team in 5A. They've actually played Gibson Southern and won by a touchdown. Usually in the South, you kind of start with East Central in terms of the Southeast. You now kind of go to both Heritage Hills and Gibson Southern in terms of the Southwest. And obviously Providence a couple of years ago won the 1A championship. But even the Southern teams in smaller classes seem to tend to come from this area. For example, South Putnam and Cascade wouldn't be considered Southern teams, but they're small town, rural communities, and they won state championships in 1A and 3A last year. So in terms of true Southern Indiana, the largest school that's probably the best would be Floyd Central. East Central would be kind of in a similar realm as them, but it's Heritage Hills and it's Gibson Southern are the ones that are carrying the banner for far Southern Indiana these days.
New Pal a big win, Roncalli a loss in triple OT, and I'm sure we'll discuss those 2 teams as we move forward. Preseason game number 2, you and Rick had Edgerrin James in the booth with you. Outside of that on the field, anything that you noticed, and do you like the way that Shane Steichen is presumably going to handle preseason game 3 Saturday?
Correct. And for those that don't know, starters are going to play a series or 2, anywhere from 8 to 12 plays. Now, there are guys that are going to be exempt from that. You're not going to see Daniel Jones. You're not going to see Jonathan Taylor. I can't imagine we would see Tyler Warren or Alec Pierce at this point, and I'm not sure I need to see DeForest Buckner out there if he plays great. But if not, I completely understand. But if you've been clamoring to see the ones with no joint practice this week, you're going to have a chance to see the starters at least for a limited amount of time. In terms of a quarterback rotation, Anthony Richardson gets quarter number 1. Riley Leonard gets quarter number 2. And I kind of felt all along Easton Stick was going to get his look in terms of game number 3. Again, I don't see a scenario where he's on the roster, practice squad, whatever the case may be. So I've been able to kind of focus on, say, guys 30 through 90 or 40 through 90. John, I think I have to have them all memorized 1 through 90 this time around come Saturday afternoon.
All right. A sports arousal out of what you heard regarding the progress of Alec Pierce today.
Certainly progress. Obviously, Mooney Ward was back out there, so that was the big news. And in talking with or hearing from Shane Steichen, I just kind of got the feeling that either tomorrow or Thursday we would see Alec Pierce on the field, which would require a move to pull him off of the PUP list and put him on the active 90-man roster.
What did Dolly Parton mean to the Lanesville area? Is it, I'm assuming, a great deal like what she meant to the Greene County area where I grew up?
First of all, you played my favorite Dolly Parton song coming out of the break, so I appreciate that. You know, as a kid, you kind of grew up probably 9 to 5, given my age, and the success of the movie as like the thing that I first thought of as I got older. Jolene kind of sticks in my brain, but absolutely she was a legend. And because of the relative proximity of where I grew up to the Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area, there was many a trip to or past Dollywood. In fact, like literally my mom and her siblings are vacationing in that area in Sevierville as we speak.
Wow.
And I'm sure there will be a Dollywood trip that will take place. So I'm not sure we will have the combination of entertainer, actress, charitable person, and you did a great job of listing so many different personality traits. The word that kept ringing in my brain was authentic.
Yes.
About her, and I think it's the most applicable. And sadly, it applies to the friend that you and I lost yesterday on the staff in Matt Baer. And if there was a connective tissue of those two disparate persons, authentic would be the word to describe that in terms of two people we have lost in the last 24 hours.
Greg, do you know how much better this world and our existence would be if others would be or try to be or strive to be as authentic as those we have lost, both personally and locally, and then just globally in Dolly Parton today?
Yep. Authentic is a good way to be if you've got the right frame of mind, and both those two wonderful souls had it.
What you got on Friday night, buddy?
Hamilton Southeastern and North Central. So, you know, week 1 was a week that had all kind of heavyweight matchups as we just kind of rattled them off. Week 2 is a little bit different, but this gives us a chance to showcase a couple of other teams. Again, HSE is asking some questions after things went wrong in week number 1. North Central did beat Rebuff. That's probably a higher scoring game than they had hoped for because North Central moved the ball last year. They just had trouble as the year went on at the line of scrimmage and stopping other teams. Rebuff's a quality 4A team. They put up 37 on you. And given kind of whom North Central plays, being in the mix the rest of the year, they got to figure some things out on defense. So should be a competitive game, and I'm looking forward to it at HSE on Friday night.
That's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He and Rick in the booth, and Carly Ursay Gordon with you guys coming up on Saturday afternoon.
Third quarter. Carly will be joining the program.
Great job as always, pal. And by the way, Jim McCann in Southern California says that your call into the JMV Takeover Saturday night should be Beastie Boys, So What You Want.
I heard that song earlier. My guess is that there's going to be a substantial amount of Dolly on the show.
Yeah,
on
there will
Saturday
be.
night. So
There'll
I may
be a
call
lot
in
of
with a partner request.
A lot of sky points, no doubt about that. Greg, thank you.
See you, bud.
Greg Rakestraw joins us. So our incredibly good friend Matt Barry yesterday, globally renowned, just authentically awesome Dolly Parton today. 5 years ago today, we lost somebody equally authentic to both I just mentioned. Thoughts on that coming up as well. Adam Rittenberg with the changes in the Big Ten and the Big Ten in general to start the football season. Top of the hour from ESPN. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, you have great food and you have TVs everywhere. Happy hour specials. That is the District Tab. My man Michael has things going. Literally, as the kids say now, cooking at both locations. Clearwater Crossing, Northside, downtown Indy. Anything that goes on downtown, you can post up there. That is your place. Live music on the weekends, event space, catering, and more. But what about that damn good food and reasons to go, because you're not going to miss a second of anything. All the sports action all over the place. Both locations, Clearwater Crossing, Northside, and downtown Indy. The District Tab. To find out more online, thedistricttab.com. Best in Realty, Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, RDIETEL.com today. So, maybe you're not doing anything right now. You're staying put, right? One of these days you probably will. Or if you're motivated to do something right now, just make sure this is your first call, because you always want to go with the best, no matter what you want to do. You want to upgrade, get more space, or downsize. Mark Dietel is that first call. Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. This number handy, whether you need it right now or save it for later. English beat, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, markdietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist, and I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
R.I.P. One of the greatest of all time. Yeah, this is a great song right here. Dolly Parton passes away today at the age of 80. I maintain there have been very few, and I would have to hear some names right now, being as globally renowned in celebrity and talent, but as Greg Rakestraw, and I think most accurately mentioned, as authentic as anybody that has ever walked. That is so cool. I said that to Greg, too. If we were all, and I mean all of us, just completely authentic, this would be such a better world. Yeah, instead, we got all these jackasses walking around. You know, Yip Yap said something to me about being on meth when I was talking to Hammer about, I mean, and it was more about being butthurt about the Caitlin Clark cult this guy's a part of. What was that guy's name? Matt Henry. Just a complete, although I will say this, he may be authentically a jackass. So that's probably it. Man, the world will miss Dolly Parton. Goodness. Noblesville Kroger tomorrow. Help in the Heartland. Kristen Neri, the voice of the Pacers, will start the show with me there tomorrow. I want to see guys, everybody out there in Noblesville, off of Logan Street tomorrow. Denary will start the show with us tomorrow. It's going to be outstanding. And we're going to do that at the Noblesville Kroger off of Logan Street. All of our shows in this building will be there tomorrow. All the shows on the Fan there tomorrow. I will see you at 3, and Chris Denary starts with us. 5 years ago, we lost the awesome Robin Miller. I'm going to see if I can get my friend Danny Bridges on. We do this annually because I never, ever want to forget the impact that R had on us all. Legacies matter. And R has a tremendous legacy. 5 years ago today, we lost Robin Miller. I'm going to get Danny Bridges on the 5 o'clock hour to have our annual discussion because we miss Robin Miller greatly. Adam Rittenberg, ESPN on the other side. Big Ten ruling, Big Ten conference schedule, Big Ten and general college football. More with Adam next. Hey, John here for Connecticut Water Systems. Connecticut in your home, Connecticut.com. That's Joe. You got to start with a free in-home test. Then you're going to find out exactly what they can do for you, too. And specialize a treatment system for you and your water needs. It starts with Joe and that free in-home test today. Sign up for it right now, Connecticut.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
They are together again, Caleb. Let's let this play for a minute. Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80 today. One of the classics, which now is turned into, and keep this up to, a yacht rock classic from 1983, is this song, Islands in the Stream. Now, are you aware of this song, even of the younger generation, Caleb?
I'm getting put on right now, John. I did not know.
You did not know of this?
That they teamed up for this. Is that
This
bad?
is great.
25-year-old
No, man,
me?
it's okay. You have plenty of time to soak it up, brother. That's what legacies are about. That's what music gives you, that legacy that lives forever. Crank this up for me. R.I.P. Dolly. We love you forever. It will never change. I want to tell you what, the legacy and the legacy of music is so incredibly special. That's one of the reasons why on Saturday night I so much enjoy doing 6 hours of all request live radio. A lot of people ask me, why do you end up spending all that time doing it? Well, for one, it entertains me. But number two, it entertains you. Thus, we all have these incredible memories together. And they're about moments. They're reliving moments that we enjoy. We forget about all this other bull that's going on right now. And you just live in the moment, or the moments that were created either when you first heard that song. Maybe not even the first time you heard it. Just how impactful it is to you. Again, I'm not trying to be poetic, but as Greg Rakestraw mentioned a little bit earlier, it's just 100% authentic, just like Dolly Parton was. You can be global, but you can be authentically cool as well. And no matter what age, 80, 70, 20, it doesn't matter. And that legacy lives on forever. I feel really special today. For example, with Dolly Parton passing away at 80 and our friend Matt Baer yesterday at the age of 48. I feel special that I was a part of, in different ways, a part of their orbit. I do. Both. I know it's been a tough couple of days, but I also think about just how meaningful those moments have been over the years. And how those thoughts will never leave, never vacate. And that's about legacy. For different reasons, different levels, but legacy nonetheless. Our friend Danny Bridges will join us, speaking of legacy, in the 5 o'clock hour. 5 years ago on this day, our friend, and I can never thank Robin Miller enough, our friend R. Miller passed away. He was as unique as anybody and as authentic as anybody you'll ever be around. See if we can get Danny on the 5 o'clock hour to discuss that. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, Big Ten news today. College football landscape as we're about ready to start, especially if we eyeball the Big Ten from ESPN and ESPN.com. Adam Rittenberg joins us. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hey, good. How you doing?
I want to start here with the Big Ten ruling today. Is this going to be passed along throughout college football? Is this a trendsetter to you here?
Yeah, I think there's conversations going on at all the other leagues. I think there's desire among the other groups of athletic directors and presidents to implement this individually in their leagues. So the SEC presidents are meeting today and tomorrow, I believe. There's interest from the ACC side. So it does feel like the Big Ten was first to the table as far as getting this out there, but there's certainly similar conversations going on in other conferences. Obviously more complicated in the SEC.
Yeah, Adam, did the Big Ten feel compelled to want to be first off on this issue?
Well, again, they didn't have a situation like they have at LSU right now, where you have a team that obviously wants to integrate, cast-off NFL players into its roster as quickly as possible, like LSU does. So you don't have that exact situation looming, at least to my knowledge, for any Big Ten program. And so I think this is something similar in a sense to the Brendan Sorsby case, that pretty much everybody in college sports agrees that this should be implemented. But because legally it's been allowed, it's hard to fend off kind of individual interests unless you have a conference policy in place. And so that's what makes, obviously, the SEC situation complicated, because Lane Kiffin and LSU aren't doing anything illegal, but there's an opposition to what they're doing in the rest of the conference and throughout much of college sports. So there are some exceptions, and obviously Indiana has a couple of players that they want to integrate who did not sign NFL contracts and likely would not be subject to this policy as long as they get their restraining orders and their legal cases seen through. But yeah, obviously it's a little bit different situation when you're taking a player who had just been on an NFL roster and putting him on your roster.
So I know Lane Kiffin has had, obviously, some pushback on what he calls the double standard with court orders and such right here. I'm just kind of curious, what would somebody like Nick Saban, who has marched all the way to Capitol, or I should say to the Congress, to talk about what needs to change or be back to what he calls normalcy in college football, what do you think somebody like that would think about this, especially if the SEC doesn't follow suit here, Adam?
Yeah, I think Nick Saban, everything he's talked about lately has been you're trying to get this bill through Congress, the Protect College Sports Act, and it was something that obviously did not get voted on before the recess that Congress takes around this time. But I think Nick Saban was talking about this last night, that this is even another reason to support that bill, which initially, again, the Big Ten and SEC didn't, and eventually did after some language was changed. It was a kind of drawn-out process there. But I think that's where Nick Saban's at, is that, that these players, again, once you move on to the NFL, that's a decision. And, they shouldn't be allowed to come back to college athletics, whether it's Alabama, LSU, or whatever team. But in his mind, it's even more reason to get some federal legislation passed so that you don't have these individual legal rulings essentially dictating the entire sport.
Yeah. That's Adam Rittenberg of ESPN and ESPN.com. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I felt compelled to bring this up a little bit earlier, and this is in the realm of things that I would love to know at the top of my list. But I think I'll start, I guess, because of college football, Adam, right now. I would love to know the reason for the animosity Nick Saban has for Curt Cignetti, or maybe even vice versa at this point right now. Do we truly know what lies beneath here? Because they don't act like mentor, this is not the right word, mentee, or somebody that was on the staff in the past that now has the ultimate in success. They don't act like that whatsoever. Do we know what has taken place or the reason behind that at all?
Yeah, I never talked with Sig about it directly. He's always been very complimentary of Coach Saban and his time with him.
I mean, I think it's more Saban than it is Cignetti in this case.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, Cignetti had come out and done something at a place that nobody ever thought it could be possible to win a national championship. He's done so and been brazen about it. He's talked about the Big Ten's success, and he's taken some shots at the SEC. And Saban has in a sense still carried a flag for that conference because it's where he spent the most of his career and won national championships at two different programs. And so it could be that. It could just be a personality thing. Saban's obviously had other coaches go on and have incredible success, including Kirby Smart, obviously at Georgia, winning a couple of national championships. But could just be those two personalities, and obviously Sig is in a different position now where he's front and center with everything he says.
Hey, speaking of position, what do you think about IU in defense of a national title? They try to downplay it. He tries to downplay it as just going back and starting new, and it's a different season, whatever. But their chances in this case, will start with the college football playoff. How do you like the way that the schedule, especially once they get started in the Big Ten, maintains?
Yeah, I think it's a really great opportunity for Indiana to get back to the playoff again. It's a team without many obvious weaknesses if they can stay healthy. Obviously, it's a new quarterback, and you just never know how he's going to perform in those big moments. But you have a guy in Josh Hoover who's played a lot, who's produced a lot. He was an excellent quarterback, I really thought, back in 2024, and not a bad one last year, but I thought that was his best season at TCU, and he's going to be entering a different type of offense, an offense that can run the ball, that can block, it doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Defensively, this should be arguably the best defense that they've had, and that's coming off of a unit that was second nationally in the country in points allowed and in the top 10 in many categories. You have the Broyles Award winner Bryant Haynes back as the coordinator. So I think Indiana fans should be very excited about what could happen this season and remaining a team that's in the national conversation. I mean, that's maybe the most impressive part of what they're building is that, hey, they can hang around in this, even though they don't have the history. They don't have, everything that Ohio State has, quite frankly, or some of these other teams that we're always talking about in this national conversation. They have positioned themselves so well with retention, with who they've added from the portal, with who they're bringing back from last year's team, coaches and players, to be a factor. Now they've got to deliver, and that's always going to come down to a handful of games. Certainly the Ohio State game jumps out, but there's others on the schedule. Really interested to see how IU performs.
So Adam Rittenberg of ESPN and ESPN.com, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What's your thought on the expectations? Because everybody's got Fernando Mendoza on the mind from a year ago, the Heisman Trophy winner, the national champion, the number one overall selection in the NFL draft, and that's understandable. But how would you expect Josh Hoover to measure up production-wise this season under center for Curt Cignetti?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on how Josh adjusts to Indiana and how Indiana adjusts to Josh, because it's very different offensively what he was asked to do at TCU in an air raid style system where the quarterback is throwing it a lot, has the ball in his hands all the time, can make some good decisions, can make some bad decisions. Indiana is going to be balanced. I think that's what jumped out to me most last year, that running game rose from whatever it was, very middle of the pack in college football, all the way to number 12. The Indiana passing offense was 54th, so it wasn't like they were right up there at the top where TCU and other teams have been. TCU was eighth in passing. A lot of that's volume. So Josh is going to throw the ball less. He's got to make better decisions, and then he's still got to make the big plays in big moments. That's one thing that Curt Cignetti points out over and over, is that Fernando Mendoza was great in the fourth quarter. He was great in close games, and that's how Josh is going to be judged. But then, can he limit mistakes? Can he use the run game around him? I look at this offense and I don't think it's based around him. It's funny to say that, but I think it's that offensive line's really good. The run game's really good. Their philosophy is different, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see how one side adjusts to the other, because they're both going to have to make some adjustments this year for it to work.
I've always said this is the selection process Curt Cignetti has for his players. They have a lot of funding. There's no doubt about that. But the selection process is the most important, and he has been flawless with that. But maintaining an offensive and defensive coordinator of that magnitude, how often in history have we seen that? Because most notably, these guys always end up bailing for a head coaching job. That has to be a significant part of the equation as to why this team can and should maintain at the top, again, with the coordinators and that normalcy being back once again with these top-rated players they brought in.
Without a doubt. And again, in the past, a school like Indiana would have a smidge of success, and then you'd be replacing your entire staff. And not only did they win a national championship, but being able to retain their primary coordinators, only one on-field assistant being replaced from last year's team. And I think part of it's the fact that Bryant Haynes and Mike Shanahan both came up with Curt Cignetti. They owe him a great deal. They see themselves benefiting from being there at Indiana, not just financially, but professionally. And I don't see either man in a rush to get out the door. Are they going to have opportunities? Absolutely. If I'm an NFL team and I have a defensive coordinator job that's open, I'm certainly calling Bryant Haynes. And whether he takes it or not is up to him. Mike Shanahan's only 36 years old. Is his first Power 4 on-field assistant job. So he's still got a long way to go potentially until he's a head coach. But those opportunities are going to come if they're in the playoff again, and if Josh Hoover's a Heisman candidate and Indiana's still rolling offensively. So I'm curious to see how long they can keep them, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're there back again in 2027.
Who's on the hottest seat coaching-wise in the Big Ten? Is it Lincoln Riley at USC?
From a high-profile perspective, yes. But they would still owe him a lot of money if they wanted to make this move. And that goes back to the original contract that they paid Lincoln, and obviously some of the other investments they made in their program. I think Mike Locksley at Maryland, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin are in a bit more urgent situations. Locksley was fortunate. I thought both of them in some ways were fortunate after last year to return this year. But Luke Fickell just hasn't been what anyone thought he would be once he gets there from a Cincinnati team that had made the college football playoff, 4-team college football playoff. They've had really bad luck on the quarterback front. They're hoping that changes with Colton Joseph as a dual threat coming in from Old Dominion. And then Mike Locksley just hasn't delivered in the Big Ten. They've won some games early, and they've just fallen off a cliff in October and November. So it's a real urgent season for him to deliver some results, or I would expect a change there.
What new head coach, Adam, in whatever location, whether it's Ann Arbor or State College, what new coach in the Big Ten is going to find the most success, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's Matt Campbell at Penn State. And a big part of that is just schedule. And this is how you have to look at teams in the Super Conference era, especially with the 12-team playoff. Who has the schedule that lines up more favorably than others? And yeah, they have to go to Michigan, but Michigan has a much harder overall schedule, in my view, with Oklahoma and obviously at Ohio State. Penn State doesn't have Ohio State. They don't have Indiana. They don't have Oregon. They get USC at home, a game that was just announced today is going to be a night game, a likely whiteout for Penn State. And then they go to Michigan, they go to Washington, but it's not, and they don't face anyone out of conference in the Power Four. So it's a schedule that, in my mind, is set up for Matt to go 9-3, 10-2. You go 10-2 in the Big Ten, you're probably making the college football playoff. So Michigan could have that in year one under Kyle Whittingham, but I see a few more obstacles, not just schedule-wise, but on the roster that they're going to have to get past.
So more saying Hoover or I slot somebody else in there quarterback-wise. Give me the hierarchy quarterback speaking of the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, so I think certainly Dante Moore of Oregon, Julian Sayin of Ohio State, who you mentioned, are bona fide Heisman Trophy contenders. I think Jaden Mayava, USC, is someone who coaches are very high on. NFL evaluators are high on him. And, it's essentially his third year as a starter under Lincoln Riley. So he's been there with Lincoln longer than any other quarterback at USC. And I think he's someone people need to be aware of from a national standpoint. Had tremendous efficiency numbers last year, QBR and elsewhere. Damon Williams Jr. is another one at Washington, was nearly out the door in the transfer portal in January. He ends up coming back. Going to be with Jed Fish again, third year in that system. I think that there's real high hopes for Damon to have a big year. So I think that's probably your top group in the Big Ten. There's some other really talented quarterbacks. Malik Washington at Maryland, under the radar, is a very good player. But I think those are the guys we're probably talking about as national award candidates.
Adam, you mentioned Jed Fish, too, in Washington. Sometimes being on the West Coast like that in the Big Ten, it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind here locally. Is that a team a lot of folks may be sleeping on in the Big Ten this year?
Yeah. There's a team that won 9 games last year. They made a jump in their win total. They believe they can take another jump. It's always telling to me when a team has 9 wins like that and doesn't go heavily into the portal. It says, hey, we're confident in who we've got. And obviously keeping Damon Williams is a huge part of that, but they didn't, add, bunches and bunches of transfers. So they feel good about the foundation that they have, their offensive line. They've got some playmakers, linebacker is a strength for them. They're replacing some good players. Jonah Coleman's no longer there. Denzel Boston's in the NFL, but they think that they're going to be a top 10, top 15 offense. And Jed Fish thinks that they can be close to that on the defensive side. And if that's the case, they're going to be a dangerous team. They have some big-time home games, including Indiana, including Penn State. They obviously have to play Oregon, so I'm excited. They got to go to USC. So Washington's got a real opportunity to assert itself in the playoff conversation. Are they just going to be an 8-9 win team in the Big Ten, or can they be better than that and get back to the CFP?
What's your top 5 coaching rankings in the Big Ten? How would you do it right now? And maybe this is subject to change, right? But how would you do it right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard not to have Sig at the top with what he's done. It's remarkable. Ryan Day, who I had a big piece today about on ESPN.com, I'd put there at number 2. I've always had a ton of respect for Kyle Whittingham and what he's done at Utah. I think he will be a good coach at Michigan and kind of what they need. Will it happen in year 1? I'm not as sure, but I think he's going to be really good there. Dan Lanning. Again, Dan Lanning's done everything but win a national championship, and now he's facing this pressure of a team that has pretty much everybody back. Can they get back to the playoff? And they're ultimately going to be judged by how they perform in the postseason. It doesn't really matter what they do in the regular season because of how they've been blown out in the last 2 playoff. Heck of a coach. And then Matt Campbell's another one. I think Matt does a great job. And I mean, there's a lot of good. I really think one area where the Big Ten has moved ahead of the SEC undeniably is the quality of the head coaches, because you have some veteran guys. Kirk Ferentz, PJ Fleck doesn't get nearly enough credit nationally. Brett Bielema, what he's done. There's some real solid kind of mid-tier coaches as well behind that top group. And I think the Big Ten has a real edge there over the SEC.
Adam Rittenberg's with us. To your point, too, Kurt Signetti said the toughest game they had all year was the one in Iowa City with Kirk Ferentz. And with him being the oldest of the old school, is kind of off the radar. But the Hawkeyes should be really good this year, too. Your thoughts on year 2 of Barry Odom and West Lafayette with the Boilers, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I think Barry, we forget how good of a coach he is. Had a very tough situation last year from a roster standpoint. Obviously, it didn't go well, but in talking to him a number of times this offseason, I think there's real confidence that they've been together longer as a group. I think he knows, has a better sense of what he has and can build around that. His defenses have always been very solid. I think having a returning quarterback should help them. Now, their schedule isn't easy, right? They get a Wake Forest team that won 9 games last year coming into Ross-Ade. That's a huge game for Purdue. They also have Notre Dame, which will be almost an impossible task, I think, this year, but another big opportunity for the Boilers, and then the Big Ten schedule. So I think, again, you want to see progress. You want to see some Big Ten wins, obviously. You want to see some more competitive games, and then you want to see that identity that Barry has created elsewhere and wants to create at Purdue start to come into focus.
All right. Is the dream matchup in the playoff, would that be IU and Notre Dame?
Oh, yeah.
In some fashion? It would have to be, right?
I mean, there's so many combinations, but that's one that I think everybody would love to see.
Yeah.
And, obviously we saw it a couple of years ago. Indiana wasn't quite there. Both of these teams are, quote, there now. And it would be one of the better games of the season, certainly a postseason game that we'd all look forward to.
One final thing with you, Adam, too, regarding Michigan and Whittingham. Is there any more added pressure to the situation with the football head coach, given what people and how they view the athletic department right now? With what happened, they win the national championship in basketball. Dusty May goes to the NBA, and there's a lot of speculation left behind right there. Is it important that they have just a smashing year number 1 in Ann Arbor? I know it is anyway in football, but is it even more important given some of the question marks surrounding the athletic department?
I don't think it's not that they don't care, but I mean, Kyle Whittingham is a very focused guy. He's won. He's proven. Would he like Ward Manuel to be there long term? I'm sure. Would he like some of these problems that have occurred in the department not to be present? Absolutely. But I don't think that's going to deter him from what he needs to do to get the most out of this year's team. I think, again, it's not a 1-year play for him. Is it a 10-year play at his age? Probably not. But I think this is a multi-year getting Michigan back into the playoff conversation. And I think, again, having some, they're going to have a lot of opportunities if you look at their schedule to record some big wins. And I think how they perform in those games is really going to be more indicative of where things are headed versus who their next athletic director is, or I think their resources are still fine. So it's an exciting year, an exciting time for them, but I don't think that they're necessarily distracted by what's gone on in the department.
All right, what are you writing about, buddy? I think you already mentioned it too. I may have forgotten. It was like 5 or so minutes ago. My short term's not that great. What do you got for us to read, I guess?
Yeah, big piece today on Ryan Day. This is entering his 10th year at Ohio State, so essentially a decade on the job. And, again, not the most celebrated coach, hasn't dominated Michigan like Urban Meyer or Jim Tressel, but as a first-time head coach to last as long as he has and had the success he's had at Ohio State is certainly, I think, his legacy, in addition to being by far the most impactful coach on their passing game. Like, Ohio State's passing game has not been the same since Ryan Day arrived, in a good way. So, definitely looking back at his tenure, that's a big story for today.
Always awesome, man. Thank you for hopping on. We're going to do this a variety of times over the course of the college football season, Adam, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it sounds good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Adam Rittenberg of ESPN and ESPN.com. There was a lot to mull over right there. I dig it. On a day like today and the past 48 hours that have super sucked, and I mean meaningfully sucked, not like JMV sucks, but meaningfully sucked. The passing of Dolly Parton earlier today. Have you seen any Dolly Parton films, Caleb?
You told me about the
9 to 5 one. Rhinestone was Stallone.
It sadly, it
Best
didn't do so
little
good at the box
whorehouse
office.
in Texas was Burt Reynolds. Steel Magnolias. I have to look at that. 1989, Shirley MacLaine, Sally Field, Julia Roberts.
How many do I need to add to the list is the question.
I don't want you to watch. I
sounds
can't.
like Rhinestone
Steel
is not
Magnolias
one.
is sad as hell. You don't want to watch that.
Okay.
I don't think. Who's with me on Steel Magnolias? I can't do it. It's way too sad. Well, it goes back to 89, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything right now, but Julia Roberts doesn't make it through it. And Sally Field throws a fit. I mean, it's a great fit-throwing moment. I think it was an Academy Award-winning film, but yeah, as far as sitting through it, I don't know if I would recommend it. Shirley MacLaine has always been awesome to me. I love Shirley MacLaine. Olympia Dukakis is a part of that. Is it Dylan McDermott? Is he in that? I believe too. Steel Magnolias. How about Straight Talk? She was a radio talk show host. I want to say 1991 Straight Talk.
Coming for your job.
Yeah, would be easy to get. I'll tell you that. Oh, man. Dolly Parton. It kind of feels the same. Obviously, Dolly Parton is at a different level, but you feel the same because the two personalities I mentioned right now, it's almost like we knew them. And we didn't. Or at least most of us did not. But you feel like you knew Betty White. You feel like you knew Dolly Parton. And both were incredibly authentic. And the uniqueness in their personalities was their authenticity. And so often nowadays that is lost in the, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing world in which we're in. It stinks. But I compare both. The type of impact that both personalities had on a variety of levels, and not just the impact to one generation, but multi-generations. That's what's amazing. Quick break, and we shall return. Yeah, you mentioned Tom Skerritt is in Steel Magnolias. I want to say Tom Skerritt. Look up Tom Skerritt. Is he 92 years old? He is still with us. Tom Skerritt. I once saw him in the early 80s in a film called Fighting Back, and he was whipping some ass.
93.
93? Tom Skerritt.
It's his birthday today.
Tom Skerritt's birthday's today.
August 25th, 1933.
Shout out to Tom Skerritt, 93 years of age. He obviously was Viper in the original Top Gun. You've seen that, right? The original Top Gun?
Yes.
I flew with his father. Tom Skerritt's 93 today. And I believe Dolly Parton in Steel Magnolias, she was married to Sam Water. I know we're going down all this. I may just talk about this until 8 o'clock. Who cares? Sam Waterston, I believe, was her husband in that film. I'll tell you, Betty White, the death of Betty White and the death of Dolly Parton are very close to being the same for me. Multi-generational, entertaining impact. And authentic. 100% authenticity. Pretty amazing. Quick break. We're back. I want to get Danny Bridges. Did you make contact with Danny, by the way?
I did.
All right, we're going to get Danny. 5 years ago today, our good friend R. Miller passed away. His legacy, much like what we've talked about legacy so far today, lives on. We'll talk to Danny Bridges about our friend R coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, I got an idea for you. New car? You're looking for one? You're looking for an SUV? How about the hottest manufacturer automaker on the market right now, Buick? And the Buick Enclave in a variety of styles, which means this is going to be a variety of price tags for you. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st, State Road 37, and Fisher's his name, Eric Wilson. Why? Because he's going to get you in line. He's going to put you in a position to get the vehicle of your choice. I just want you to start with a look-see to the Buick Enclave. And why? Because you're going to find something that is going to be reasonable for your budget, but also awesome for you, your family, and the friends of the family. It is incredible, the ride. The Buick Enclave, among others, the highlights you're going to find right now with my friend Eric Wilson. The inventory, incentives to buy, which are coupons you can get in the car buying experience, and the service after the sale. Just absolutely the best. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st, State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So many incredible Dolly Parton moments. Anybody have a favorite? And the reason why I ask, because unlike many, Dolly Parton is multi-generational. So really it doesn't matter what age I'm talking to right now. You have some sort of interest and or influence at a point in your existence with the entertainment of Dolly Parton. Does anything stand out? Musically speaking, film-wise, television appearances, specials, CMA award appearances, talk show, The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson. Anything stand out? 100% authentic Dolly Parton. How much of the world is, I'm not even talking about being globally renowned like that, but how much of the world, just in general terms, would be authentic? I mean, every day we got to go through, like I go, and I'm not saying people that are sending me stuff right now, but there's so much jackassery out there. And you know these dipsticks aren't authentic. How much better we would all be if we just took a page from the 80 years of existence who passed away today, Dolly Parton, at the age of 80. 100% authentic. Or with Matt Berry yesterday, locally renowned. 16-year friend and colleague here. Authentic, taking ownership, not blaming everybody else. Marconi Award nominee. You know how special that is? I was going to tell the Matt Bear story yesterday. Matt Bear, once upon a time, Caleb, I think he was in for either Matt Taylor, who was the producer of the show, the voice of the Colts back then. Either Matt Taylor or Tony Donahue, he's in for one of them. And it was during the Colts season. I was doing a show live at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's in Avon. I remember this specifically because it caused a great deal of interest. It was on a Monday. It was a Blue Monday we had them. We were at O'Charlie's, which I don't even think any O'Charlie's are around anymore. I think they're all closed. But we were at the one in Avon, and he said, hey, he was back, running the board. He goes, hey, I've got some sound for you. It was Bob Lamey. The Bob Lamey sound for you. What he said about Peyton. And I said, hey, okay, play it. And so he rolls it back in, and I wish I had it right now. I'm not going to do this justice, this story. But it was Bob Lamey talking about Peyton Manning because he didn't have a good game being done. He goes, he just done. For lack of a long-winded description, he said Peyton Manning was done. Well, immediately I get a text from Kevin Lee, who was a part of the Colts Radio Network at the time. He goes, that was said off the air. So this is what Bob said off the air that Matt played on the air. And we laugh about it. We've laughed about it over the years, but you talk about getting somebody's ass in a sling. My ass was slinged. I had to have, and you know how much I hate meetings, right? I had to have like 19 meetings. And I had to meet with everybody. You got to meet. Did you mean to do that? Hell no, I didn't mean. I was at an O'Charlie's. I was big and fat and eating all these free rolls right now. I didn't have any idea what was going on back here. But every single day, Matt Bear and I, we would go down and take a leak in the bathroom down here during breaks of our shows. And I go, hey, you remember that time when you played that sound?
John.
Yes.
I said, what the heck? Let me just search this up and just see
There's
what
no
comes
way.
up.
There's no way it's on there.
Okay. I don't know if it's on there, but
you better
there
listen
is
to it first.
2 articles from December 8th, 2010.
Yeah.
With the headline, Colts radio announcer Bob Lamey rips Peyton Manning off air.
Yeah, it's bad. That was me.
So that
was me. Well, that was on this show. That was on this show.
This was making headlines.
And the reason why I bring this up is it's why I love Matt even more, because it was ownership and it was authentic. It was just a mistake. Mistakes happen in live radio. Happens all the time. And it was a mistake.
He said,
it was a mistake on a variety of levels, because we know this to be true. When you're in the presence of a microphone, you don't say, and listen, I've done the same thing. Hey, look at me. Who the hell can I talk? I got blackballed during the week of the Super Bowl on Radio Row at the JW Marriott because of what I said to Adam Schefter. He got me blackballed by everybody from ESPN because I said something about him. And then I think I ended up, at the time when it was Twitter, tweeted something about him. So, I mean, we've all lived in a world. We've all been jackasses. But what we do is we own it. You own the jackassery. And that's a part of being authentic. And that's what I remember Matt most for being. He was honest and authentic. And it was 16 years we got to hang out together. Really on a daily basis right here. And then on a global scale, the loss of Dolly Parton today, you're not going to find an entertainer at that level that is ever going to be that authentic, that would talk to and be a part of everybody. Yeah, our world would be so much better if we all just had a little bit of that influence. So true. The last 2 days have been incredibly tough for both a global, worldwide reason and for a local reason. For somebody that feels like a really close friend, and then from somebody that was a close friend. Danny Bridges, 5 years ago today, we lost somebody else with a great deal of authenticity. Robin Miller passed away on this date 5 years ago. My friend Danny Bridges, we always like to annually share our thoughts on and how much we miss him, and I know that is impactful to you. Danny will join us coming up at the top of the hour. We will do just that. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. All right, so you're thinking about, well, what do you want to do to feel better, to look better, to be more healthy? GLP-1 weight loss injections, Indianapolis, Premier Weight Loss, 2 locations. I can tell you this, more than 2 years deep, I had my milestone conversation with Lauren at Premier Weight Loss going back last week. Down now 82 pounds and have never felt better. In fact, this is my weight when I was a 7th grader right now. It's my healthy weight. I have never felt better. My health, which I judge all the time, blood pressure, I was on blood pressure meds when I started. I'm off of them now. It all is thanks to Premier Weight Loss and what Thomas and Lauren and Samantha have done for me. They keep you goal-oriented. Whatever your mark might be, they help you get there on a monthly basis with check-ins, full body scopes, Nothing lies. You just stay after it. And if you work hard alongside these injections, you're going to see even greater results. So if you want to get started today, 317-643-4444. Make sure you tell them I sent you. That's Premier Weight Loss online, pwlindy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
When I lost all that weight, I think I lost a lot of ass.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, we love it. A classic from 1980. This is 9 to 5. Great lyrics. Pour myself a cup of ambition. So when the blood starts pumping on the street, the traffic starts jumping, then folks like me on the job working 9 to 5. This is a great song. Dolly Parton passed away today at the age of 80. I want to say, was this her first film, 9 to 5? And it was incredible. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and the incomparable as an antagonist character in film, Dabney Coleman, everybody. Well done. 9 to 5. 80 years of age, Dolly Parton passed away. You guys are asking if there is any evidence of what I was talking about regarding that sound that our good friend, the late Matt Baer, played back in 2010. I'm assuming the evidence of that particular moment on the radio, along with Bill Polian and Jay Moore, from a time I was also a part of over at WNDE with Mark Patrick on sports, is probably someplace locked in a desk in Pete Ward's office. That's what I'm guessing.
Black SUVs pulled up to the radio station. They said, "You better."
I was
get
a part
these."
of both of those.
You
I was a part of both of those.
You're just around
That's got to be
chaos.
worthy of something right there.
It's a pattern.
Because you know of the Jay Moore, Bill Polian story, right?
I don't.
Oh,
Is this
my
bad?
Good. No, it wasn't great. I was right there.
Jay Moore?
Jay Moore, the actor-comedian, married to Jeannie Buss now. And Bill Polian. Fighting on the air when I was the producer for Mark Patrick on Sports back in December of 2001. Fighting on the air. And I sat there going, I cannot believe this is happening. And to Mark Patrick's credit, he just sat back and let her go. The best part about this, true story, and I know I got to hit a break here. We're going to get Danny on coming up here at the top of the hour. But the best part about this story is Craig Kelly, who was the longtime media director of the Colts and was the media director back then. Caleb, this is true. When Polian was screaming at Jay Moore on our radio show during these moments, I mean screaming at Jay Moore, Craig Kelly was trying to hang up the phone, and Bill was just on a regular office phone. And Craig Kelly was trying to hang it up. So Bill Polian, former Colts general manager and Hall of Famer, was fighting Craig Kelly off with his right forearm, keeping him away from hanging up the phone. It was like, if you're watching on YouTube Live, just think about this. Craig Kelly be right here, and Bill Polian is fighting him off while screaming at Jay Moore, the actor-comedian, on the phone.
Oh, my.
I had no idea that part was – I didn't know that until years later. Craig Kelly shared that with me. Bill was fighting – yeah, you're not hanging up this call. There would never be anything like that again.
I guess Zach Kiefer did a whole story on it during COVID.
He did.
In the New York Times and The Athletic. That's awesome.
Yeah. Jake Query, just one of the great quotes of Bill Polian. Jay Moore said, "Hey, can we just move forward?" And Bill said, "We will not move forward." It was amazing. And then, so we go to break. And Mark just sat there the entire time. We go to break, and we come back, and I play Carl Douglas's 70s classic Kung Fu Fighting, and we all start laughing. So Mark was Drew Storen, who played Major League Baseball of now Field of Dreams Whiskey. Drew Storen, I think, was 12 years old, 11 years old, and had a basketball game. Mark left, and the late Ron Sexton, Donnie Baker, came in to take over for Mark, and everybody thought Mark got suspended for it. But in fact, Mark was going to watch Drew play, and then Donnie Baker and I did the rest of the show. It was unimaginable stuff. Unimaginable stuff back then. All right, Danny Bridges on the other side. 5 years it has been. 5 years. 5 years since the passing of Robin Miller. Hey, by the way, too, the Colts unveiled a new uni. We'll get your thoughts on that coming up on the other side as well. Dolly Parton passes away at the age of 80 earlier today. We are sky-pointing, and we're celebrating the catalog and the impact, generationally speaking, she has had on us all, which is profound. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Connecticut Water Systems in your home. If you don't have Connecticut, you don't have the best water. Get your water tested absolutely free. My friend Joe can help you. Connecticut.com. So they find out with that free water test what you need. And then they put together a system that is specific for your needs. Nothing generic, not a one-size-fits-all, but something specific for your home water needs because, simply put, not everybody is going to be the same. For example, if you live in a more populated area and you have city water, for example, you're not going to need what I have because I live in Sleepy Eye on Little House on the Prairie and I'm working from Half Pints Well. It's going to be a lot different in Morgan County than it is, for example, here. So it's going to be specific to your needs, courtesy of Connecticut Water Systems, but it will give you the best water possible. Get that free in-home test today. Contact my friend Joe. Sign up right now, Connecticut.com.
The Ride with JMV.
If anybody needed a victory, get the off the racetrack, you stupid son of a. I think we have to start again.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, man. A lot of this day's been reflection. And through tough moments that can help you make you feel better. Really can. Dolly Parton passes away, the icon, at the age of 80 today. Still reeling on the passing at the age of 48 of our good friend Matt Berry yesterday. But reflection of the good times. It's not a cure-all by any stretch, but in the moment, it can make you feel better. It can make you smile. Hopefully we can do that tomorrow. Noblesville Kroger location off of Logan Street for help in the heartland. There'll be a lot of opportunities to help us out coming up tomorrow, but all of our shows, and I mentioned too, all the fan shows will be there. Fan Morning Show with Kevin and James, Query and Company with Jake, and then I'll be out there at 3 o'clock. But all the building shows will be there. How about Sean Copeland of the Sean Show, B105.7? Cole and Annie from 97.1, Hank FM. I know our good friend B. Swift of Hot 100.9 is going to be on location. Karen Vaughn is going to be out there from Indy's R&B leader, 106.7 WTLC. Diego is going to be there from Fuego. Everybody is going to be. Is Ray going to be out there too from Telemundo? I believe so.
I think so.
Me and Ray. Will Ray trim his beard, you think, in the Kroger bathroom? I hope so.
You better just clean it up. That's all. I love Ray, man. Ray's the best.
Let me tell you this. I love this building. This building is beyond unique with personalities. Hammer and Nigel will be out there. Who's doing the midday? Somebody's got to be doing the midday show out there on 93 WIBC. Is Katz out there too? Is Tony out there? Yes.
I think that's the plan right now.
Yes. Better be out there, Tony. You and it's going to be a chilly morning. He can wear a scarf. Nah, seriously, there's so many unique personalities in this building. Pretty cool. Greg Rakestraw, Adam Rittenberg, a little bit earlier on the podcast, 1075thefan.com. I also should mention tomorrow the voice of the Pacers. We're going to have a lot of blue and gold conversation. And I'm sure a lot of DAZN conversation as well. From DAZN, I guess we can now call him officially the voice of DAZN, the Pacers on DAZN. Chris Denari is going to join us right at 3 and go with us for about an hour. So if you want to join us at the Logan Street location in Noblesville of Kroger, Chris is going to be out there. I should give a shout out. I was going to see if Tucker Barnhart would want to join. If you're in and around the area, around Logan Street, around that Kroger, Noblesville, Hamilton County, hey, join us. Join us for what is going to be Help in the Heartland tomorrow. All the shows will be out there. Love to see you there. You know, I mentioned the passing of Dolly Parton today at the age of 80. My friend Matt Baer yesterday at the age of 48. Both impactful for a variety of reasons. 5 years ago today, we lost our friend Robin Miller. R. Miller. And joining us now, we have an annual discussion about this, and we have since his passing. I think formerly now of the Indianapolis Recorder. He is a longtime friend of mine, of ours, broadcasting guy here in Indianapolis. Danny Bridges joining us. Hey, Danny, thank you for the time. How are you, pal?
Hello, John. Thanks for the vine. It's always good to talk about our buddy, isn't it?
Well, I think this has become routine for us annually, right? Every year at this time, because this is somebody, as I mentioned, you know, the passing of Dolly Parton today and of Matt Baer for different reasons. Don't get me wrong, global, local, whatever, but both are, I think, relatable in terms of their authenticity. And there is nobody more authentic than Robin Miller, whom we lost 5 years ago today.
Well, you can say that again. And it's interesting, you know, we talk about sports writing and IndyCar coverage and what have you, but Robin was a lot bigger than that. He became a media personality through his television appearances for Speed Channel and what have you. And it's just hard for me to fathom it's been 5 years. It just seems a lot longer than, I don't know. It just, today's a day of mixed emotion. We're talking about a guy who was in the hospital getting a blood transfusion, calling me when my wife died, wanting to know if I needed anything. That's the kind of guy he was, and he wouldn't want you to know that. He'd have no interest in anyone knowing that he had a heart the size of a compact car and that he gave a lot of money to a lot of people who were down on their luck. So if he was looking down right now, he would say, Bridges, you better shut that up right now, because he wanted nobody to know that he was a generous, kind, compassionate person, as opposed to the description most people had of, a curmudgeon, cantankerous, what have you.
So Danny Bridges with us. 5 years ago today, Robin Miller passed away. And I can't help but think, growing up in and around here and, you know, reading the paper, whether it was, you know, Bill's column or Robin's column, he was not well liked, but it was so interesting to see that transformation, that what people thought he was and then what he became in his later years. But still, it's not like that he wasn't the same. He was the same person, but he was viewed, I think, from a different focus by most of those that either, devoured his input on the radio or on TV or in print. He was just viewed differently in the latter portions of those years, and I thought that was really cool.
Me too, and I couldn't agree with you more. You think about the hundreds of times he called you at your various radio gigs over the years, and you guys would just open it up and talk about everything, not just auto racing. And you talk Pacers, you talk Colts, you talk about anything that suited your fancy. And he was always a good interview. He thought the world of you because you gave him a format, and you also appreciated and carried the torch for IndyCar. So there's a lot of things there that make sense about that. But I look at him as a media personality as much as a motorsports journalist.
So Danny Bridges with us. One thing that stands out, he when I was over on Fall Creek Road, and I was with Mark, and then even after Mark stayed national and I took over in November of 2004 the local on WNDE at the time, he was not allowed to come on the show.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, we ended up working that out with the late Chris Wheat of getting him back on the show. But the one thing that I told him at some point, I want to get you on with Tony George, because maybe his most noted point was, the whole, IndyCar, IRL, Champ Car type of thing that was going on back then. And he was certainly very outspoken with that. And one of the first things I did when I came downtown at the time and became a part of Emmis and the Fan was get those guys in the studio together. And it was as glorious as I ever thought it was going to be. It was one of the coolest moments I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I remember when you brokered all that, and I thought that was bigger than life locally because, and you know what? It's interesting. A lot of people probably don't know this. He and Tony reconciled and buried the hatchet, and they were able to talk and, converse in a civil manner about a number of things, including IndyCar racing, the Holman family, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, what have you. But, that, in my opinion, that's one of your crown jewels. You brokered that meeting, and that was good radio.
Well, you know what's so weird about that, Danny? Leading up to that moment, I didn't think at about noon that particular afternoon it was going to happen, because R said all of a sudden he wasn't going to be a part of it. I remember that I was at Palomino with Charlie Morgan at that time, and R said, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do it. And we ended up getting both them in there. So like at noon on that day when I started at 3, there was some question as to whether or not that they were going to end up doing it, but they did. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like what Mark did on MPOS. I mentioned this a little bit earlier with Bill Polian and Jay Moore back in 2001. Mark, as talented as anybody that has ever been in this market, said about 3 words for about 25 minutes and just got out of the way and let everything happen. And at that moment with R and Tony George in studio, that's exactly what I did, because it's more about them and the moment than it is about any of the questions I want to ask, and it made it so much better.
Yeah, that was a really great moment, to say the very least. He and I talked about that a few times, and he didn't have a whole lot to say about it other than he said it was just time.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever had any personal animosity toward Tony or the family in the IMS, faction, but because he loved the sport so much, and the IRL did fracture open wheel racing for a number of years, in my humble opinion, that really troubled him. If this had been any other sports owner or facility owner on any other sport, that would have even been on his radar. But you start messing around with open wheel racing, specifically the Indianapolis 500, you're going to get a call from Robin Lee Miller.
Yeah, it's Danny Bridges. 5 years ago today, our friend Robin Miller passed away, and we're doing a remembrance of sorts and reflection on a day like today with Danny. The other thing that occurs to me is, do we understand now, because print is all but gone, especially Indianapolis Star print, but any print is all but gone right now. Can we imagine how far ahead of time his columns with the Old Scout regarding football was? When you think about it in terms of, being hardcore and kind of funny about situations regarding the Colts and other NFL teams or college teams, but also, utilizing bets and wagering, the Old Scout was far, far ahead of its time. And it was always amazing to me that nobody knew who it was, with the exception of maybe a handful or less of people at the time.
Well, you're absolutely right. The Old Scout is legendary, and I encourage people to go back in the archives and find that and look at it. But I knew, a few others knew as well, I'm sure, obviously.
I think Jack Trudeau knew. He was one, if maybe the only Colts player at the time that knew that Robin Miller was the Old Scout.
Well, you think about that, the Indianapolis Star era, Bill Benner, of course, the late David Benner. What a great sports department they had. But those guys wrote some great copy. And Miller would have been okay in any era, my opinion only, whether it be today or the 1970s or anything in between that. But he had a lot of people that he really liked. Bill Benner was one. The late David Benner was another one. Steve Shunk. Those people were all very dear to him, and they were closer to him than I was. But Robin and I were close enough to, I can simply tell you this, I can't talk about on the air some of the things we did.
Yeah.
And I also have some great memories, whether it be Irias, with him holding court there 2 or 3 times a year, Working Man's Friend, you name it, all the places that he enjoyed. Jonathan Bird's fried chicken was a staple as well. And by the way, I had some fried chicken today in a tribute to Robin. But the point is this, I miss the guy. He was a friend, a mentor. I'm still contributing to the Recorder in a different manner, but he was always quick to correct me if I was wrong about something. He'd text me and say, "Are you out of your mind? Question mark, question mark." But if I did something right, he'd send the same kind of text and say, "Well done, young man." And, he was just bigger than life. And I think about him all the time, not just today, and on his birthday as well. And I want to thank you very, very much for keeping Robin's spirit alive in your broadcast. You guys had a number of times where you talked at length on air, and those were great sessions. I always love tuning into that. But I can simply say this, the world is a lot less interesting without Robin Lee Miller.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's only one time that I recollect, Danny, to where he couldn't come on because he was too sick.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew at the moment, oh man, because he was never like that. But I remember I was over in Speedway. I'm going to get all choked up about this, but I was over in Speedway and doing a live show. And he said, I know I'm supposed to be on, but I can't do it today. And just kind of told you about the moment, but it so much told you about who he was. And again, I think the focus of the day is the past 48 hours, losing locally and then globally those of such high levels of incredible authenticity. That's exactly what R. Miller represented. And 5 years ago today, we lost that.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom. I do know this, that as I said earlier, the world's a lot less interesting without Robin Lee Miller, and I owe him a lot. And we last spoke 2 days before he passed away. And you know what he told me? This is so interesting. We both had a good friend, the late Bill York, a mutual friend. Yeah. And he said, "Hey, make sure you keep looking in on Bill York for me." I mean, here he is 2 days away from leaving the earth, and he's making sure that somebody else is taken care of. That speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned.
He is legendary, no doubt about that. And then he also brought me in, and I know Jake feels the same way. He brought us in. He introduced me to Becky and Workingman's Friend, and go over there at noon. And, You know, he would be so unhappy with my whole not eating cheeseburgers and buns and bread and stuff. I don't know if he could deal with that. Now, I could still go over there, and he was a non-drink. I would drink beer and stuff, but he would so not dig where I am right now as far as my eating habits are concerned. But he was the one that introduced me to Workingman's Friend and those noon gatherings with Steve and Ralph and Bill and then David and just so many different, Phil Richards at the time was a part of it too. Those will always remain incredibly special moments for me.
Yeah, one thing about Workingman's Friend that irritated him, I told him, I said, Robin, we know their cheeseburgers are great, but I said, I think their tenderloin is even better. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that set off.
Well, I mean, you can't order a tenderloin or a double cheeseburger if you don't say no middle bun, then you're not coming back. You have to say no middle bun, no middle bun. Like he told me exactly what to order.
Well, I think it's also worth mentioning that every IndyCar owner, a ton of IndyCar drivers all had the highest degree of respect for Robin, both as a journalist as well as someone they could confide in about anything, let alone racing. And I think if you went down the line and talked to every owner and every substantial, important driver that's raced in that series, they'd all come to the same conclusion. So today's a tough day, but I'm choose to think about the laughs that we had and some of the stupid things that we got into together.
That's Danny Bridges, still does stuff with the Indianapolis Recorder. Long time in the market, but certainly annually we discuss that of our friend Robin Miller, who 5 years ago today passed away. This is brought up, as you mentioned that too. JMV, still one of the greatest JMV and R moments is when Robin had A.J. Foyt call in the show during the Kentucky Derby. It was A.J. I think A.J. Foyt had a horse in the Kentucky Oaks. And they were going down the stretch, and A.J. Foyt was on the air and just started cussing and F-bombing like crazy with R on. It was that he's right. That was an incredible moment with R and A.J. Foyt from the Kentucky Oaks in early May one year.
Well, you could expect nothing less from those two, and they had a history as well, obviously. But I remember Robin's celebration of life, and I remember A.J. Foyt sitting there tearing up a little bit, just as Mario Andretti did. And it was a very interesting thing to see because it was about friendship. It was about fellowship. It was about respect for one another, and it had nothing to do with auto racing, even though that was the format that brought them all together.
Danny, we're never going to forget. Never, ever going to forget. I think about this in terms of David Benner, too. Think about what he accomplished. He not only was just an incredible local writer, but was as good as we've ever seen in terms of transitioning into being a media guy for the Pacers. I can never forget what David did for me. I used to host a Sunday show when I was producing for Mark, and I would go in, and David would get me Pacer players on a Sunday show. And I mean, rarely hell, we can't even get Pacer players on the show the way it is right now, for goodness sake. So it was incredible moments, incredible people. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, these are legacies that were sad that they're no longer with us, but the memories remain forever. And that part is really cool.
Well, you couldn't say enough of good things about David Benner. He was gold standard. And I tell you, things have changed as far as how the media is, shall I say, dealt with. And I mean that respectfully. But, John, I appreciate the time to speak to you. I'll look forward to seeing you at a Bullseye event.
Yes. Why don't you?
Yeah.
That too. Hey, seriously, thank you for this recollection, because it is necessary, because historically speaking, one of the all-time greats, and we need to pass that info along to some of those that were not as fortunate as us to be, a huge part of it in each and every moment, whether it was the good, the bad, or whatever. These moments are very important for the local legacy around here. 5 years ago today, Robin Miller passed away. It's our friend Danny Bridges. Still does work with the Indianapolis Recorder. locally speaking, just an outstanding dude. Danny, thank you very much for sharing.
John, thanks. Like I said, I look forward to seeing you at a Bullseye event with the Colts, and I appreciate the opportunity as well as the way that you have continued to carry Robin's torch. I really do, brother.
Thank you, man. Danny Bridges right there. That makes me feel outstanding. This has been a very difficult 48 hours. And it is a not so subtle reminder of, how you feel on the moment with loss. But again, those memories are so incredibly important for the future. And they really do. Those memories live forever. 5 years ago today, Robin Miller passed away. Danny Bridges, Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Help in the Heartland, Caleb. Help in the Heartland unites us here at Radio 1, Kroger, Fox 59, and CBS 4 to support the American Red Cross disaster relief for families affected by flooding. Your gift can help provide shelter, meals, supplies, and recovery support. One of the hardest hit areas certainly was in and around Noblesville, and what was compromised was a Kroger location, and they're a part of Help in the Heartland as well. You can log on raise.redcross.org if you want to donate, and we'll talk this up with the Red Cross here coming up tomorrow because we're going to be live at the Logan Street location of Kroger. Again, that was underwater during the floods of almost 2 weeks ago. The Noblesville Kroger location, not just this show, but all of the fan shows, Fan Morning Show, Query and Company, and me tomorrow. But everybody in this building, whether it's 93 WIBC, B105.7, Fuego, Hot 100.9, Indy's R&B leader, 106.7 WTLC. I think Praise is going to have Hank FM, 97.1. I think Cole and Annie will be out there as well. Very unique day in Noblesville at the Logan Street Kroger tomorrow. Kristen Airy is going to join me off the top of the show at 3 o'clock. Anybody else that wants to join, we would love to have you. But the focus is to help all those that, again, were compromised due to the incredible flooding of almost 2 weeks ago in central Indiana, throughout the state of Indiana. We got your back. And we're going to be at the Noblesville Kroger location, Logan Street, coming up tomorrow. Not just this show, but all of us. Quick break, we'll come back. If you guys want to phone, you can. 239-1070. We're wide open right now. 317-239-1070 on the text line as well. The Colts have a new uni. We'll talk about that coming up on the other side as well. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. John, for LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Best in plumbing. That's LD Smith Plumbing. LDSmithPlumbing.com. You can find Lance and his local team as well to get you and make sure that all of your drains, especially in and around your foundation, they are not at all clogged up. Here's why. Because we get some weather, I think, on the inbound later on tonight, maybe coming up tomorrow as well. You want to make sure that the drains are clear. So you don't want the water building up in spots where it shouldn't be, or any other plumbing needs you might have. The best in plumbing, Lance and his local team, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains, 317-927-7186. I mean anything, whether it is a small plumbing situation or something that is magnified, a side-swiping plumbing-wise, something where you need help right then and right now. The best in plumbing, 317-927-7186, online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
JMV sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Dolly Parton passed away today at the age of 80. Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville. It is all about Dolly. Nobody has been globally renowned and that authentic in my lifetime than Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton passed away today at the age of 80. We are all the worse for that. Switching gears, I don't know, Caleb, if you saw this. The number one ranked prospect in the Prep Hoops 2027 rankings, Lonnie Lyons. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Going to Butler. He has committed to Butler. I believe this is the highest rated player to have ever committed to the Butler Bulldog program. Ronald Norad with the real in. 2027 four-star top 50 prospect, Jelon Lyons, or Lonnie Lyons, as I said.
Point guard. Okay.
2027 class. Shout out to Ronald Norad.
Beat out some Georgetown, Syracuse, Virginia, looks like.
Saw that.
That's a big one.
Well
okay.
done. Our NORAD right there. 2027. I saw this too. NBC has announced the complete talent lineup for the Sunday night baseball game between the Reds and the Cubs. Yay-rah. Which will be aired nationally on NBC and the Peacock at 7 o'clock. I will say, because the Reds stink, I'm not that excited, but I can get down with this broadcast. Are you ready? Play-by-play, Jason Benetti, check. Analyst, Jeff Brantley, check. I love the Cowboy. Analyst, Anthony Rizzo. Ahmed Fareed, who is a host. I don't know who that is. Do you?
Ahmed Fareed.
I probably butchered the name. Pre-game and inside the pitch, Joey Votto. Can we get down with that NBC Peacock lineup right there? I think we
Absolutely.
can. I think we can get down with it.
I've seen this Ahmed Fareed guy. He does some NBA stuff too.
Does he?
So he's kind of a do-it-all host, I think. He's
Like
I like him.
Benetti's doing like everything now.
Yeah,
Is he
man.
not, I believe?
He's awesome.
Yeah. Well, heck yeah. What do you think about the Colts uniforms, by the way?
Great.
That was unveiled.
Yeah. I will say, so this is part of the NFL Rivals series, and
Striking the Anvil, is that what it's called?
yeah, I think that actually out of the 8 that were released, the new uniforms for 8 different teams, I think the Colts had the best ones. I don't know if that's saying a whole lot, but I thought out of the 8 that were released,
Are they going to wear these for 3 games? But
one
at
game
home.
this year,
And that's Houston, right?
yes, week 3,
Week
and
3.
then it's gonna happen next year as well. They'll wear it for a game, and then the year after, and then they'll get another edition in 3 years.
Full disclosure, I don't give the biggest of craps about it, but I can get that. It's okay. Just like what I just mentioned with this broadcast lineup, I don't give too big craps about Sunday night baseball and watching the Reds ever again, especially the Cubs. Worst of both worlds right there. But I can get down with the broadcast crew. I can get down with these uniforms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part is probably the helmets, number one.
Okay.
And then I also this was kind of crazy to me. The Colts have never had the actual horseshoe logo on their jerseys until now. So they're on the shoulder a little bit. I actually think that was a crazy detail.
You want a wild ass opinion right here?
Go for it.
I don't know how many years this has been around, but let's just say we know that the staff and organizationally speaking, because Carly Ursay-Gordon has suggested this, that it's basically all or nothing. This is a must-win situation. She's on board with me, by the way, everybody out there. Must win this season. So let's say they don't, and they wipe the slate clean. I think we put away for the shoe. I think you start again. I think if you start all new, that you shelve for the shoe. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Is that fair to say? Anybody else out there ready to? If you start new, I'm pretty much done with for the shoe.
Can I throw something else out there that I'm going to take it? I'm going to take it a step further,
Okay,
John.
do it.
One other thing that has coincided with this era of Colts football is Blue, the mascot, pieing people in the face.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
We can shelve the pie from Blue too.
It was funny and it was a great bit the first couple times. He did it again Saturday at the preseason game, and I'm just like, yo, man, it's funny, it's cool, but I've seen you do this 150 times.
If they win this year, pie in the face until the cows come home. But if you lose this year and you start new, you shelve. I want to say the facial pies, and everybody's going to go off on that. Shelve the pies to the face and for the shoe. If you move forward. Can we all agree on this?
I think that is the ride with JMV's proposal.
Yes.
Going into this year. So we'll have to
if you're going to start new, by God, start new.
We need a tracker. If the Colts are doing really good, we'll have to rate okay, are we keeping this right now? If the season ended today, are we keeping these two things? And if it's going bad, how close are we to axing these two traditions, if you will?
Yeah. I would agree. So the whole for the shoe thing, if they don't win this year, that goes on the shelf. And so does the pies to the face of the opponents, that bit. Shelve that too. Now, Blue can continue to throw the footballs from the upper deck. Yes. I don't mind that.
Has he ever not made it?
That is pretty money considering all that crap the dude's wearing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have the numbers on that. If he's missed it, it's only been once or twice.
Pretty amazing. 239-1070. My man Big Dave's been on hold for a minute. Hello, Dave.
Hey, what's up?
Go ahead, Dave.
There was a joke that Dolly Parton told about, you probably heard it, it's about the bear. But I also had somebody who was very real, and I wanted to tell you about it.
Okay.
I was walking down, I don't remember what town it was, it doesn't really matter, but I saw Billy Bob Thornton and walked up to him. I said, I know you. And he goes, I don't know you. Your name is? I say, my name's Dave. And I said, I really love Sling Blade, and I really love Bad Santa. And I'm still talking to him 45 minutes later.
Wait, you saw him here? Was he here?
No, it was another town.
Okay.
But the thing was, this one guy tried to pull him away, and he said, stop. Dave pays my salary. Dave's my PR for all my movies. I'd be pumping gas at Shell if it wasn't for Dave. Dave's my friend.
Dave, let me tell you, that's what we're talking. That is the type of behavior, especially and Billy Bob Thornton is at that elite level, much like Dolly Parton was and remain even after her passing, on a level in which so important to understand the authenticity of the person.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that. That's, it's what I mentioned yesterday with the passing of Matt Bear locally. There was such an outpouring of love and grief regarding the passing of 48-year-old Matt Bear, our friend here, There wasn't one bad word said about the guy, and rightly so. And at the top of the list of the reasons why is because he was so, Dave, incredibly authentic. And that matters now more than ever because there are so few out there with that quality.
Yeah, there was another one, Bob Kavorian. I got to meet
100% correct.
120%.
He was as authentic as incorrect, Dave. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, I appreciate the call. You call anytime, pal. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, authenticity matters. Really does. Dolly Parton was 80. Dave, that is a good call. Really good call. Tomorrow, once again, Help in the Heartland, Logan Street location of Kroger. All of our shows will be there on the Fan and really everybody else, too. I did want to thank Jason Hammer from 93 WIBC for coming in yesterday and breaking the news regarding the passing of Matt. Because we're 24 hours later plus, it doesn't make it any easier. But, I tend to, when I grieve, I tend to also try to remember, the reasons why those folks were so impactful and important and why Matt was as a friend and a colleague for 16 years. So his passing makes us all grieve and sad, but at the same time, you think about those moments, whether you knew him personally or you listened to his traffic, especially on race day morning, which just had such a deeply rooted meaning for me. And Tony Katz and I were talking about this off the air yesterday when Tony was down here. We were all sitting out on back. Me and Tony and Nigel and David Wood were sitting out back and talking about Matt. And it was so cool for me to be able that one time a year to throw it to race day, Indy 500 morning traffic to Matt Baer. That was my priority. I would always say, hey, Tony, go to the bathroom, and I'll throw it to Matt. The memories, very important. Help in the Heartland, important tomorrow, too. The Logan Street location, as I mentioned, of Kroger. All the shows here will be there on the Fan. 93 WIBC, Hank FM, WTLC, Hot 100.9, Fuego, Praise. No, everybody in the building will have a presence. All the shows will have a presence for Help in the Heartland. Kristen Airy will join and start the show with me coming up tomorrow. We would love to see you out there. The Logan Street Kroger location coming up tomorrow. Hey, Bud Light Blue Friday gets started early this year. Mucky Duck, we're at 65 and Southport Road coming up on Friday. I'll give you all the details on how you can join me there. We'll lead up to that later on this week as well. Hey, Caleb, by the way, hooping tonight, right?
I'm in.
I got you a reversible.
Yes.
So there's only 10 people out there, but the Denniston Company can't seem to figure out who's on their team. So if you pass it to somebody else, you're just not very good. That's
exactly
what I think. Yeah,
and I've done that on Sunday mornings.
Shirts and did you play in the era in which you went shirts and skins?
Yes.
When did that era end?
I didn't know it did. If it did, it just happened right underneath us.
Does anybody know in the realm of pickup basketball when the era of shirts versus skins ended?
We used to be a proper civilization, John.
I wondered. Quick break. We'll come back. You guys on the other side will close out this show today. Danny Bridges and I on 5 years and the passing of Robin Miller earlier in the hour. You can find that podcast at 1075thefan.com. Adam Rittenberg on the decision the Big Ten made today, which was impactful, and the Big Ten in general in football this season. Adam's got a podcast at 1075thefan.com. And Greg Rakestraw regarding the Colts. The Colts coming up in preseason game 3. Anthony Richardson under center. Starters about 8 to 12 plays. But maybe the most significant news is Alec Pierce is scheduled to return to practice later on this week. Now, no Daniel Jones, no Jonathan Taylor on Saturday. But other starters with Anthony Richardson starting the game, about 8 to 12 plays. in that matchup against the Lions. And Alec Pierce back in practice later on this week, according to Shane Steichen. That a little bit earlier. That and more. We'll close out the show with you coming up on the other side. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Connecticut Water. Connecticut Water Systems in your home, Joe, and a free water test. If you don't have Connecticut, you don't have the best water. And Connecticut wants to help you put together a system that is best benefiting you and your home water needs. The drinkability, the bathability, the washability, all that, and then some with my friends at Connecticut. That free in-home water test, and then they will put together a system that best benefits you. Nothing generic, but something exclusive, something specific to your home water needs. But you got to start with that in-home water test today with my friend Joe. Sign up right now. Tell him I sent you, Connecticut.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I tell you, Wally, I'll be the only character in Mayfield High with an FM radio in his car. Boy, FM, that's really neat.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Sky Point. Dolly Parton. Age of 80. Dolly passed away today. Significant Sky Point request of the JMV takeover coming up on Saturday night. I guarantee you that. Have you been learning a lot more about Dolly Parton over decades?
Absolutely.
Today? Have you?
You know what's so great about that re-entry you just did? Like you on Saturday nights are so good at stopping right before the sun starts, and you did it right there.
That is
and
Mark
it was
Patrick.
Perfect.
That is Mark Patrick. And if you remember, he had a character on the Bob and Tom show called Nicaragua, the world's most cliched DJ, always hitting the post.
Never miss the post.
That is from Mark Patrick. Mark Patrick has taught me to always hit the post. Shout out to Mark. Logan Street, Kroger, coming up tomorrow. Hopefully you guys can all join us there for what is going to be just an exceptional day of broadcasting from that Kroger location that was compromised a week and a half ago due to the flooding. Help in the Heartland, that's coming up tomorrow. We shall see you there. All the fan shows will be there. We have a fantasy football league. Who wants in? Fantasy football league. You give me, Caleb, how many spots do we have?
We have
this
10
year?
spots open. It's a 12-team league. You and I are in.
And if you win it, can you, for goodness sake, pick up your prize and not let it clank around in my trunk for like 6 months, all right? Every time I turn a corner or stop at a stoplight, I hear some clanking going on with bottles because the winner hasn't picked up their winnings. No clanking. You want to do spot number 1 right here?
Let's do spot number 1.
Fantasy Football League. This is on the text line, 317-239-1070. What number would you like to give? What number do we want? Who's going to get it here? No, let's go number 20 on the text line gets a spot. Number 20 on the text line, 317-239-1070. I haven't figured out what the price is going to be, but you know if it's relatable to me, what it's probably going to be. Yeah, 21 years or over. I can't have anybody under 21. You guys can't get my ass in a sling. 21 and older. Number 20, 317-239-1070. Our fantasy league is beyond compare. And the prizes, if you pick it up, is beyond compare. Number 20 on the text line, get busy. Phil wants to share a story at 239-1070 with us right now. Hello, Phil.
Hey, JMV. How you doing?
Phil, thank you for the call, pal.
Yeah, I just want to let you know about, and you may know this story about Dolly, but I know Jeff Bezos gave her $100 million to her donate to charities of her choice. I thought that said a lot about her as a person and how she could be trusted and so big into philanthropy too.
I think we have probably known very few people to her level of just being an incredible human being over our existence. Is that fair to say? And I know that it sounds weird for me to put it that way, but very few humans that have really been as well-rounded, a cool person. And again, I mentioned the authentic nature of her over decades. There's really nobody has ever been like Dolly Parton. Nobody.
For sure. National treasure.
Yeah. Yep. Phil, thank
right.
you very much for the call.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Dolly Parton passed away at the age of 80 earlier today. Bad couple of days, locally, nationally, globally. Memories, though, are still there, everybody. Memories are a good thing. Recollection is a good thing. And with Dolly Parton, the memories of music. And you can just always turn something on. Turn me on Saturday night. Request a song, your favorite Dolly Parton song. Get your opinion out there, your choice out there. It's meaningful. It's impactful. Just like they were. So true. Caleb, hooping tonight?
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's show, by the way, Kristen Airy is going to join me live beginning at 3 o'clock. We're going to talk a little bit about the zone with Chris, too.
Yeah, that should be an interesting conversation. Love to hear what he has to say about it, how he's
have
feeling.
Those microphones that kind of look like the whole European microphones.
They're bigger, yeah.
The bigger microphone with got the logos and stuff all over
You
it.
should ask him tomorrow.
Voice of the Pacers tomorrow. Hey, you guys, thank you for sharing. Again, a sad day like yesterday, but a day that we will remember with a lot of thoughts, a lot of conversation, a lot of memories, and hopefully with you and I, a lot of fun and those impactful moments of the future. Logan Street, Kroger, tomorrow, all of us in Noblesville. We'll see you there. Adam Rittenberg, Greg Rakestraw, Danny Bridges, podcast 1075thefan.com. Thank you all for today.